Okay, on the podcast today, we have Angelica Hanley, who is a creative entrepreneur, a military spouse, and mother of twins, which sounds like a lot. She's a founder of A Couple Puns, a business that crafts clever pun-themed greeting cards. And I was introduced to you by, in your business, A Couple Puns, by Emma from Grace and Yarmouth, who was on episode 93, which I'll put a link to in the show notes. But I think we're going to have a fun conversation. We were just talking about San Diego, and that's what you do in the military life. You always talk about like where you've been, where you're going, and your experiences. But Angelica, I'm glad that you're here. So thanks for being here today.
Thank you for having me. And yeah, she's wonderful, super creative. We actually haven't met yet in person, but we've always like shared different like business tips and stuff. So
Yeah, I mean,
within
kind of
six,
similar things, right? Like card
yeah,
businesses and
similar
stuff.
things, different, I guess theme you might want to say, but yeah, we're
Yeah,
in the same little paper world.
that is kind of funny. Well, start just kind of by telling us how your business started and like, have you always been somebody that's like funny and punny and creative that way, or is it something that you've had to like work at or just kind of like, I mean, I know sometimes like I'm not feeling super creative and you have to like motivate yourself to be that way. So how did it start and like has this always been kind of who you are?
It's funny that you just said that because today I feel like I really have to force through creativity just because I'm so
Yeah.
busy being a mom now. But when I started this about 8 years ago, I mean, puns were just my language. I was always like, I've always been very witty, very punny, a little obnoxious with my sense of humor. And I was working in marketing. So I was able to like be creative in my career. And then I started this as a side hustle. I had moved to Texas. My husband and I were dating at the time and didn't really have any family and friends in the area. So I put all that like extra creative energy into making punny cards. I missed my family and friends. So I would like doodle little cards and send them to them. And then someone told me to open up an Etsy shop. I didn't think that that would like be fruitful in any kind of way, but I did it. And I got my first sale, and then it just kind of went from there. And I totally geeked out with it. I remember I did a lot of pop-ups where we lived in Corpus Christi, and I would drive up to Austin, Texas, and San Antonio. Um, and I would meet all sorts of people. And one woman that I met owned a boutique, and she wanted to wholesale my cards. And I had no idea what she was talking about, but I figured it out, got my cards in her shop, and then thought, oh, this is a fun way to like grow my little side gig. So I started doing wholesale and then started going to trade shows. I got into Paper Source and Barnes and Noble, and lots of pretty cool retailers. Yeah, it just kind of grew from there. Just kept staying consistent, kept staying like punny. I mean, it's just who I am. So it was easy. It's just easy to like create products like that.
That's really interesting and like so impressive. Like Barnes and those are some like huge retailers. So that's really, really cool. How
Yeah, I
often,
mean, it's like easy to say, oh, I got lucky, but I mean, I worked hard to get to those kind of trade shows to be able to meet those kind of people, and like the buyers for those shops and have something that they saw would be of value to them. But yeah, it's really cool selling in shops like that. But a lot of like my bread and butter has been with local businesses and like smaller boutiques and whatnot.
yeah, that's cool. How often are you just like stopping what you're doing because you have to like write down something that you thought like, oh, this would be a really good card or like, oh, this is a fun pun that I hadn't thought of before. Like, I feel like I don't know if you're just like because that's what you do, you're just like always on the lookout, but I feel like I would have to like stop and write it down all the time.
Yeah. So my camera roll is like full of pictures of my kids and funny things that I see or like little ideas that I have. I'm always like taking pictures of puns or writing things down in my notes on my phone. Um, yeah, I wonder, now I have people who have been like following me on Instagram or Facebook for years. And when they see something punny, like they'll send it to me. Like my DMs are just full of the most ridiculous punny stuff. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, no, it's like that's what you're known for. I'm going to like, oh,
Yeah.
I need to let her know I found one. Like she needs to make this card. That's so
And
funny.
it's so funny because it's not even like my close friends. It's like a random person from high school that I haven't talked to in 15 years. They'll be like, "Hey, I've been watching you, and I this made me think of you." It's cool. It's cool to be known for something fun like that.
Yeah, rather, I mean, better than something not so fun, right? So that's
Yeah.
really cool. And it's funny how like that can connect you with somebody that like you said is not a super close friend or family or whatever, but it's like, they know that you do this thing and that's the connection that you have. Um, I get that. I feel like I get that a lot with like party stuff. Like people will randomly be like, look at this table that I just set or whatever. And I'm like, that's great. Good job. But it's
Love
usually, like you said, people
it.
that you're not like, it's not my family. It's like random people. But I love that. Everybody send me that stuff. Like,
Yeah,
I
like
want
I
to
mean,
see your
90% of
parties.
the time it is random people or like people I've met on the internet. And I don't know, it's really cool to have that little kind of connection. It's like a little happy place.
It is. And I feel like with family, it's just like it's almost like this a separate identity a little bit. Like your family doesn't really talk to you about that stuff or like care about that stuff sometimes. At least I feel that way with some of my family sometimes, but then it's like they don't even realize that I have like all these, friendships or connections or whatever with other people that revolve around like hosting a party or whatever. And they're like, oh, I forgot that you do that thing or whatever. Like it's just,
Isn't that silly? It's like the people who are closest to you sometimes yeah, they're unable to see that. My family sometimes will be like, "Oh, how's that little business going?" I'm like, "You mean the one that I sell like the national retailers all over the country?" Thanks. It's going really well.
what was the feeling like when you like first walked into a Barnes and Noble and saw like one of your cards there?
So I haven't seen him in Barnes and Noble, but I have seen him in Paper Source. Sometimes I'm not able, they don't like distribute them always to places
Yeah.
where I'm near. But I mean, it's the coolest feeling ever. It's funny. I feel like I go in there like a little spy on a mission. And it's like any store that I've gone to that has my cards, I like go in there just like searching for them. And then when I find them, I always take a picture with them. And yeah, I just get excited, tell the store owners, hi, that's mine.
Yeah. I
Just
feel like it would
such a
be
geek
like,
about it.
yeah, like it's like a little baby of yours is out in the world and like you got to
Yeah,
visit
yeah,
it.
it really is. And when I was looking for houses in San Diego a year ago, I went to this coffee shop and I saw a store next to the coffee shop and I was like, oh, that name sounds really familiar. So I walked in and they had a wall of my cards. So, and I knew that I had like sold, it was in Del Mar and I knew that I had like sold cards somewhere over there, but I don't know, just forgot about it. And yeah, I've been selling to them before the pandemic. So it's been a while. I walked in, told them, and yeah, it's just so cool being able to do that and have those kind of connections all over the country.
It's probably really
Before I
cool
had
for the
kids. What?
I was gonna say it's probably really cool for the store owner too to like meet the person like, they get a box of stuff, right? To like put on the shelves, but then
Yeah.
to like actually put a face with the name or whatever and like see a real
Yeah.
person in front of them that's like, this is the person that created it. I think that's really cool too for them.
Yeah, no, it is really cool. And I was saying, like, before I had my kids, I used to spend a lot of time like trying to like go out and visit all the shops that I'm in. It's a little bit more difficult to do all that now. I definitely am more behind the scenes than like up front like that. But it's a really cool feeling and it never gets old. And sometimes when I don't know, feeling a little disconnected from the business. If like I don't know, time hop shows me a picture that I once took in a shop, or I see a shop that I'm in, it's just like a little reminder of how much I've worked over the years and how special it is.
Yeah, no, that's great. Um, I think we've kind of all gotten away from like sending cards. I know it's not something I do hardly ever. I'm actually somebody that kind of refuses to buy a card because I'm like, oh, I can just make one. Or like my kids, friends' birthday parties, I'll have them make a card or something. Cause I'm like, I'm not going to give a 7-year-old a $4 or $5 card or whatever. But yours are really funny and like cute that you would want to send them. What are some like just quick reasons that you think are like really good reasons to connect with somebody by sending a card?
Well, so I always say that my cards are like for every occasion and like every moment in between or like unoccasions. I have a card for literally everything for like a funny inside joke that you have with your friend. If your friend is having a baby, if they're getting married. Sometimes like I'll have people who will buy my cards for a wedding and then they'll come back for a baby shower, a birthday, Mother's Day, Father's Day, etc. So yeah, I mean like all the holidays and then if your friend really loves plants, I have a funny plant card for them that says, I'm so excited I wet my plants. Or if they like coffee, I have a I love you a latte card. I have So one of my best sellers actually is a marathon card. It says, have fun chafing the dream.
Oh my
And like,
gosh.
I mean, you can always tell when it's like marathon season because I sell tons of them. So just like a card literally for everything that you wouldn't think of, I have in my shop.
I love too that it's like you can like something about a friend or something about your family member, like they're really into this one thing. And it's like you can
Mhm.
find something about that one thing, even if it is kind of obscure. That's really cool. Like a marathon. Yeah. I don't have a whole lot of marathon runners. Well, actually I do have some friends
I
that
will
run quite a
never
bit,
have
but
that card sent to me, but
right, same.
people, every time I send it out, I'm like, good for you.
Yeah, exactly. I'm impressed. Keep it up. Oh,
Yeah.
that's funny. Can you share an experience like you look out for these puns, you are like into wordplay, they are funny, like you seem like you're funny. What can you like share an experience where like humor has helped you connect with somebody?
Oh gosh. Literally in every situation.
Yeah.
um, I think, I mean, my husband and I, we've been long distance a majority of our relationship. We started off long distance. He's been deployed while we've been dating and married. He was deployed when I had my twins. So like a lot of like really tough, like heavy times. I've always been able to like connect with him by just sharing ridiculous puns that I find on the internet or that I think of. Whenever I would like write him cards or emails, I would just plug in punny wordplay and he does the same. And even like sometimes we're having a serious day, serious talk about one of the kids who's struggling with something. Like in the middle of a sentence, like he'll think of something just like clever and funny and it'll like make us stop and pause and like laugh and get some like brevity in a tough situation. So yeah, I mean, in my relationship with all my friends, and then I know that I share that with other people because they share these like really personal anecdotes on their reviews and in my DMs. So it's really special that I'm able to like help people connect through laughter and humor.
Yeah, that is really, really cool. How can you like this military life is so crazy. How are you like celebrating, finding joy, being positive? I feel like you kind of have to be positive in your line of work, like when military life is so uncertain. It's uncertain where you're going to live, where you're moving to, uncertain if you're going to find people, uncertain of your spouse's safety or whatever. Like, how are you finding that joy and, celebration along the way?
Just celebrating all the small moments. When we were chatting earlier and when I was looking over some of the questions you sent me, it just made me think about how I would love to host big parties with my friends and family. My family was always like the big host family. We're so far from everyone, and we have been for so long that I'm not able to do that. So I just find like the special moments, even if it's just like my kids and I or my husband and I'll still decorate. I'll still kind of like go a little overboard trying to make things special. I know someday, like hopefully we settle down and we're not moving all the time and we can be closer to people that we're close with. But yeah, I mean, for now, it's just like making all those small moments special.
Yeah, for sure. Um, I will say, like when my kids were younger, I got so much like joy and like creative outlet by like doing, setting up like a fun activity for them or like crafting something and then hanging it up or whatever it was. And then like as they get older, I almost feel like my creativity has like drained because they're in school or whatever. And it's like I'm not doing that stuff with them as much anymore. Or it almost kind of seems like work, unfortunately.
I
Whenever
get
I
that. You have
do
to
do
like
it.
find the time to do it. And sometimes I find that like I always thought I would be like the kind of mom who I don't know, because I have the business that I have, I feel like people like expect that I'm always like very extravagant and I'm totally into Pinterest and everything. But it's exhausting.
Yeah.
I have all these ideas and then I'm like, I'm never gonna do that. And then I feel bad for half-assing it. But yeah, I mean that's just motherhood, I think.
Yeah. Well,
It's
something is better than nothing. And I always tell myself,
yeah.
like, even if they're not going to remember the effort or, the cool creative thing that I did, like I'll remember it. Or
Yeah.
um, if you do it enough, it becomes tradition. And like hopefully, like there are certainly things that like we do that I think like, oh, like, oh, I have to do this thing again. And but then my kids will like ask if we don't do whatever it is. I can't come up with an example right now. One thing that like I get joy out of that they don't seem to care that much about is like we do for the last several years, we do like school year's eve, like the night before school I'll ask them what they want to have for dinner and I'll make what they want. And I'll make like a fun little school themed tablescape with like
So sweet.
pencils or apples or whatever. They don't ever care about it, but I'm always the one that's like, oh, we have to do school year's Eve. But then, like something super simple, like they get really crazy about their like age pancakes on their birthday. Like you're gonna make a 7 pancake, right? You're gonna make a 10. And I'm like, okay, like it's super easy,
That's
but
really
like that's the
funny.
thing that you're like interested in, not this like elaborate tablescape that I put together. So yeah, kids are weird, but they'll
Well, for what
remember
it's worth,
stuff.
I think that's a really cool idea.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. Um, yeah, anyway, so it's funny how things change, like from when you're home with them all the time and then as they get older and they're in school or whatever. So I've had to adjust to that. I feel like lately of like, oh, I'm not that like, oh, I'm not doing fun activities with them anymore because they're like gone all day every day. So
I feel
I
like
don't
it
know.
like hits you out of nowhere. My twins, I mean, they just turned 3 and I cried a lot on their 3rd birthday. Well, it was their first birthday that they spent at a preschool. And I was like, what? They're supposed to spend it with me.
Yeah.
It just felt weird. I had a little identity crisis. I was like, oh, I don't have little babies anymore that are 100% dependent on me, even though when they're home they are. But yeah, it made me think ahead and then I got in my head about it. So
Yeah. That's what we do
yeah.
as moms. Yep.
That's what
Okay,
takes up
let's
my creative energy now. I used to just
yeah.
always be creative, and now it's just thinking about my kids and hypotheticals. So, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
that's
glad
tough.
that I put a lot of energy into my business when I did before I had kids because a lot of it's on autopilot now. And I don't think I would have been able to grow it and do what I did if I had started it today. Just with all the distractions I have and my priorities have totally shifted.
Yeah, such a good point. Um, with your business and like being in the military, you guys move a lot. What are some things you've done to like make that easier to like find support for your business or people that will like kind of encourage you or whatever as you've moved throughout the military lifestyle?
Well, the cool part about that is like most of my support has been virtual.
Mhm.
A lot of the people that have supported me, most of my business have never been close, like physically.
Yeah.
So nothing has really changed there. And I think it's really cool how dialed in you can get virtually to different, like for me, I find a lot of support in different like women entrepreneur groups. I mean, people are sharing resources. They're hireable for a quick gig. They're connecting me with a shop owner for a boutique, and then I'm able to exchange the same kind of expertise with them. And I mean, it's all from afar, which is really cool. So it doesn't even have to just be within the military community. It can be with like anyone who's running a business or any entrepreneur or any mother who's doing the same kind of thing. So yeah, I found that like it's just like strengthened my relationships even more. I don't feel like I'm lacking anything when it comes to that.
That's awesome. I'm glad that you've found that. How are you like staying connected to those people online in order to get kind of like a deeper relationship where it's not just like, hey, I saw you came out with a new product, great job, but like, a deeper, I don't know, friendship based level of connection than just kind of like the surface level with those online. I just think it's kind of harder whenever you're not in person sometimes.
Yeah. So naturally, you're going to have a lot more like surface level relationships and stuff. I think that I've always just been like pretty open and vulnerable about things. So it's allowed people to like come to me and be open and vulnerable and then like build deeper connections that way. But whenever I go to like the trade shows or any of the, I don't want to say conferences, they're more like workshops and stuff. I really try to in person and go to things that are a little bit consistent. So like if I'm in like one women's group, I'll make sure that I continue to go to like that conference or that workshop, just so I'm like seeing the same faces and whatnot. With the trade shows, I mean, that's where I see my buyers. If I go like once or twice a year, I'll see the same people. They come up, like we get to chit chat and like kind of share updates and everything. And it feels like I'm just like hanging out with friends. And I don't know, we'll go do dinners or go meet up for lunch. So yeah, it's been pretty cool being able to just like bring my personality into the business and just connect with people.
That's awesome. And what a special thing that you can like, hey, I'll send a card because they talked about this XYZ thing and I've got a card for that. And like, 2 months later, they'll get this card and, feel special because you remembered them, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, and then I don't give out business cards. I literally give out my cards.
Oh,
Like
that's so smart.
yeah, I pack them with like a card, an envelope, and a sleeve. That's how I package them for retail. And I'll put like a little like QR code and like information in the back, but I'll pre-stamp the envelope so that they like have it ready to like go out to a friend, and then I mean, I get messages all the time whenever I do that, like saying like, "Oh, my friend loved this" or whatever. So it's like little thoughts like that. And the pre-stamped envelope was something that I did during COVID. Because I mean, people obviously weren't really leaving their houses, and I had tons of stamps. So I figured, oh, this will be easier for my customers to be able to send their cards out. And a lot of people like weren't shopping for like very big things, but they were shopping for like little meaningful things. And a $5 card was something easy for them. So yeah, I got a lot of really good feedback about like the pre-stamped envelopes. So I started doing that on a lot of my orders now and having it as an option on my site.
Yeah, that's awesome. I saw something the other day. 'Cause, like, didn't the price of stamps go up recently? I
Oh
can't
my
remember.
gosh, it's like doubled in the past few years. It's absurd.
Yeah, I saw somebody say like, "Oh my gosh, it's like $1." I don't think it is $1, but it's what, close to $1 a stamp or something." And they're like, "Well, guess I'm not sending Christmas cards this year." And I'm like, that kind of made me sad. Like, I love sending, like, that's the one time of the year where I'll be like, I'll send like a lot of
Mhm.
Christmas cards. Um, but it is like, yeah, whenever you have to pay, like, let's tack on another dollar to however much this card is just because of the stamps. It's crazy. So that's a huge like benefit to like getting an envelope with a stamp
Yeah,
already on it. That's awesome.
I know it's something that I mean I felt like I didn't really see it as a problem because I never am out of stamps. But when I mean most people don't just have hundreds of stamps in their house.
No,
So
they don't.
yeah, yeah, gosh, the increase in postage, it's killing me because a lot of my retailers I've been able to like always push free shipping because I sell paper goods, so they're light and I can usually pack
Yeah.
them into a package, but everything's doubling right now. So I'm like trying to figure out where I'm going to increase those costs and whatnot.
Yeah.
Always
It's
something
tough
new.
balance for everybody.
Yep.
Okay, let's get into your last call questions. We will have links to your website and your socials and all that stuff so people can go check out your cards. And you have like stickers and a bunch of other stuff too. So not just cards. So I know my kids are like super into like the water bottle stickers these days. So anytime they can get a fun sticker, they're really excited. So we'll have links to everything and everybody can go purchase and check it out, which is a great time, like stock up on stuff for like holidays and stuff coming up. So
Yeah, I
I will,
have like deals where it's like five for a certain amount of money. You can buy them in packs and you can mix
yeah,
and match. So you can get whatever works for you.
that's awesome. Great. Okay, let's talk about these last call questions. I think you had a couple really great answers. The best party that you've ever hosted. I would love to hear more about this.
So I was telling you about my wedding. I'm come from a very like traditional Greek family. And my husband is not Greek at all. He's like a ginger, very white. Um, and yeah, so we wanted to mix and he's in the military, so we wanted to make it a mixture of like honoring like his military background and my culture. So we had it at the Naval Academy. We were able to kind of like do a makeshift Greek service in the Navy chapel. We had a Greek priest go there. And then for the reception, we hired a Greek band, and then like everything within the little details. It was funny. So my save the date, I photoshopped our faces into my big fat Greek weddings cover, and I put the
That's
Naval
cute.
Academy chapel on the back. Yeah, so people still have those magnets on their fridge because they were funny. And then for favors, I gave out olive oil bottles, and they said, "I'll love you." So we had like little puns, and then for the table place cards, we had like little nautical themed puns because it was in Annapolis. So it was a mix of like our culture, my culture, the military, and then like my husband and I's sense of humor, which
Yeah.
was really cool. People still have like those like little things from there, and it just makes them laugh. So
It
I
is
loved
really
it.
cool when you think like um that people still hold on to those things. And like, if you visit them years later or whatever, you're like, oh my gosh, this is from my wedding from forever ago. So that's really cool.
Yep.
Okay, what is the best community that you've been a part of and what's made it so great?
So we were talking about the women, like the entrepreneur groups that I've been a part of. And I've been a part of the Female Founder Collective for about like 7 years now when it first started. And I've met women from all over the world who are doing creative businesses, who are running medical businesses. A lot of them, like, we're all doing different things, but we all kind of have the same headspace. We're trying to do something with our passions. And those have been the women who I've gone to for business advice, for when I need to hire someone for something. And I've been able to share some of my expertise with them as well. I've gone to some of their workshops. It's been really cool to connect with some of the women in person. And it's just like, it's like this little like underground network of women who just like want to uplift and support each other in their businesses, which is really cool.
It is really cool. It's great whenever you can find that. I feel like I found that kind of like in certain places we've lived and then we move and it's like it's hard to like find it again. So it's great that that's kind of virtual and can go anywhere. And I love what you said earlier about like being consistent in the same kind of group because
Mm-hmm.
then you do kind of connect on a deeper level and stuff like that, which I think that's probably where I have failed. I'm like, oh, in a new place, new group. Like it's
I'm
so
no, I'm the same way. And I think, I mean, we've moved how many times? Like 4 or 5 times in the past 5 or 6 years.
yeah.
And I have like the first couple times that we moved when I had my business, I was like very motivated, very excited. Like, let's go, let's do everything in the local community. And then I just got completely burnt out, especially when I had my kids. I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like
Yeah,
my
it's not
priorities totally
sustainable.
shifted. So I've really like kind of dialed back a lot of things and done what is more sustainable for me. And I know it's going to ebb and flow and look different in different seasons, but for now, it's just kind of like maintaining those relationships and trying to not overdo it.
Yeah, it's great. Okay, last one here. What is your best party hosting tip?
My best party hosting tip is to keep it like something like fun and creative and personal. Like put your personality in it. I think that like if you can make people smile and make people laugh and like make people like, I don't know, do something that's special to you, people are gonna remember that. And it's gonna be really special for everyone.
Yeah, that's great advice. And that shouldn't be hard for anybody. If it's just like
Yeah.
part of who you
Don't
are, then
overthink
that's
it.
yeah, that's easy to like incorporate. So that's awesome. Well, like I said, we will have links to everything in the show notes, and people should go check out your cards and get sending them. They come with a stamp, it sounds like. So it's like one less
Yeah.
step you have to do. So, Angelica, thanks for being here. This was really fun. And I know people are maybe going to be a little bit more motivated to connect through fun wordplay and cards.
I love it. And let me know how you use my cards. It's always
Yeah,
fun. Like people leave the most detailed comments in their reviews, and I absolutely love it. It's really cool. Like to be a part of
it
that
is always great when
movement.
you like that feedback loop like closes and you find out like this is how the product was used or this is how the end result of the thing that you made. I think that is always really fun whenever you can find that out. Or like somebody sometimes will be like, "Oh, I listened to that episode on your podcast, blah blah blah," and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, you listened!" Like nobody ever tells me that they listen. I see it like metrics wise that it's happening, but it's like
Yeah.
to hear somebody actually say, I sent the card, I listened or whatever is really cool. So yeah, that's a good point. Like follow up with people that you buy things from.
Yeah, it's especially with a small business. I mean, it's the coolest thing. It's me working the shop. I hire out every once in a while, but like it's mainly me and I see every single review. And yeah, I love the stories that people share. It's really cool.